Hey, how's it going, YouTube? So, I'm pretty embarrassed to bring this topic up because it's pretty personal, but I want to make sure I don't want to make it too personal, just be brief and all that other stuff. So, I feel like it's necessary for obvious reasons. Some of my Asperger's video, well, pretty much all of my Asperger's video, I get the most views out of all my videos that I upload. I fear that some people would just doubt that I got Asperger's syndrome, but that's pretty much the reason why I feel like it's necessary for me to upload this video. I don't remember much of kindergarten, so I'm just going to start with first grade, but I don't want to, I can't remember which grade on what happened to me. But first grade is what I can remember the most of it, because that's pretty much what it all started, the diagnosis and all that other good stuff. So let's get started. It was hard for me to make it was really hard for me to make friends, and it was hard for me to adjust to new environment, the atmosphere, and engage in a conversation, mingle, converse, congregate, all the other stuff. So I was the only kid in a cafeteria that never really said anything and never engaged in a conversation or stay in a conversation with somebody. In fact, I would be so lost for words that I would say some of the words in the wrong time. For example, like somebody would say, "Hey, Mackie, how you doing?" And my response would be, "Thank you." "Hey, Mackie, how you doing?" "Thank you." And then this person will be, just stumped, like, "Thank you for what?" Then I'll just say, "Oh boy, never mind," because that's how it was for me. It's like it wasn't that much, but it was a lot of times that I would just use some of the words at the wrong time. It was hard for me to be able to tell the expression based on their emotions, if that makes sense. Like, I can't tell if this person feels comfortable being around me, or this person wants to is interested on the things that I say or whatnot. But I guess you could say, for me to be lost for words, that they would just feel like they just don't want to hear me talk because I'm saying a bunch of nonsense. Yeah, during recess in the playground, there'll be other kids that would play basketball, jump rope, tag your ed, that kind of thing, while I would just be the only kid that would be sitting in this one spot in the sand, just playing with the sand, drawing lines and making circles and drawing imaginary characters and stuff like that. The teacher started to notice something different about me. Different meaning that I was different from most kids. Like what I just said moments ago about how hard it was for me to socialize, or to have small talks and chit chat, and play with other kids in the playground and stuff like that. So it was until this one time when I remember this very clearly, that okay, I wasn't even bullied all that much. I wasn't picked on that much back in grade school. It's, for the most part, I kept it to myself, so I never really exposed myself in a public eye, so to speak. So it was just me being in that corner that nobody else recognized or nobody else noticed. But this one time, when it was around our time when where the school goes to the local amusement park. This kid put a kick me sign on my back, and he told me that if I were to take it off, or somebody else took it off, I wasn't allowed to go to the amusement park. So later that day, the teacher, like, it was just about the end of the school time, like around 3 or something like that. The teacher took the kick me sign. She noticed the kick me sign on my back, and she took it off, and that's when I got really upset. I mean, not like, I was being civilized, but I just got really upset that I started throwing fists in the air. I started screaming. I started crying, and I kept telling my teacher, "Hey, you can't do that. Now I can't go to Kennywood because the kid told me I wasn't allowed to go to Kennywood if I was to have that thing removed." So That's when they called my parents. I was sent to the principal's office. They called my parents, and my parents showed up, and then like shortly after, that's where the whole diagnosis started. It didn't even take one diagnosis, because there was a lot of misunderstandings. It's like there was ADHD, ADD, dyslexia, schizophrenia, just among other things, until probably like the 5th or maybe the 10th or like 1,000th diagnosis figured out that is a autism spectrum disorder, and it's a high functioning autism, but it was Asperger's. So it's been confirmed that I got Asperger's syndrome. All the other diagnoses were what's that word I'm looking for? It's like a word that it's like, okay, you made a mistake, and it's not going to be in your record anymore, something like that. I forgot what it's called. So that's when I started joining these. My parents signed me for group therapies, such as speech therapies and behavioral therapies. The speech therapy was the hardest for me. To me, it was the hardest because I'll be so lost for words that somebody would just say, "Hey, how you doing, Mackie?" And I'll say, "You're welcome." And it's like I just in a conversation with just something that is irrelevant to what this person is talking about. So the other kids basically in the speech therapy is just we have to learn certain grammar or whatever. We have to learn how to converse with people or whatever, and how to say it, and our emotions and stuff like that. When we express our opinions or whatever. It took me a while, probably years, for me to be able to know how to converse with people and saying the right words at the right time, so where people would just come out to me and just say, "Hey, Maggie, how you doing?" "I'm doing fine. How are you?" That kind of thing. So even in this, fast forward to like 5th grade, that's when I started to converse with people without any problems or anything like that. It would just be hard for me to stay in a conversation. So my teachers would just recommend that I should just practice talking on a mirror. I disagree with that. I never really did practice in the mirror. I just started looking at television shows such as The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. It's mostly when Will would make a mistake, and then Uncle Phil would lecture him on the do's and don'ts, the rights and wrongs, and discipline and stuff like that. So it really helped me to it's all about being calm and just being civilized, that kind of stuff. By the way, rest in peace, James Avery. We all know you're in heaven, and we all miss you. So I eventually started talking to myself, just pretend that I'm talking to somebody else, not necessarily having imaginary friends, but just talking on a wall, just talking like I'm conversing with this person just for a brief amount of time, probably like about maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and then I would just go out there, and then I would just socialize with other people, like going to the local amusement park, and I would just talk to a family member, or I'll talk to one of my classmates, or that kind of thing. Or in 5th grade, I started going to playgrounds. I started playing basketball with a certain amount of people, and I would just play tag or it, or just talk about girls having cooties and stuff like that. Talk about cartoons and our video game systems. It's just like, okay, what kind of games you got, Mackie? Yeah, I got some fighting games, got some adventure games, some RPG games, that kind of stuff. And I don't really play it that much, because I like to. It's easier for me to watch other people play games, stuff like that. And then I'll just kind of keep the conversation flowing, just like try to say something that's relevant to the conversation, but it's got to make sense. All that came from just practicing talking to a wall, watching, certain TV shows, or watching movies that people would just converse throughout the movie, that kind of thing. I'm not a big fan of talking in the mirror, and I was never a big fan of cameras because I never really like taking pictures all that much. I think that's part of having Asperger's, if I'm not mistaken. I've always been uncomfortable, and I still am uncomfortable with cameras and stuff. But it doesn't mean that I have a problem that I'm not going to be in a picture, or I want to upload some pictures of myself on social media or whatnot. But I was never a fan of that stuff. Just having to take pictures or take selfies or whatnot. It's just it doesn't have anything to do with insecurities or whatnot. It's just awkward to see myself, just standing next to somebody or standing in front of something or something like that. But my family members would just try to trick me into being in a family portrait, or being in just taking a picture with somebody, and they always do that to me. But I'm stupid enough to fall for it every time. But they're really clever on how to trick me to being in the pictures. But I don't mind it. I really don't. It's no big deal. But I've always felt uncomfortable just having to be around, just having to be in a picture or being in a photo or something like that. And I think that Asperger's got a lot to do with that stuff. It's people just call me weird whenever I say I'm camera shy, but I don't know. The point of this video is just to give you guys an awareness that it ain't easy. It wasn't easy from the start, and it's just like it's like your first time driving. I mean, I don't know. No, it's different. I mean, like, what I'm trying to say is, like, your first time driving, right? It's a little awkward at first, and being a teenager, now you're behind the wheel, and you feel like it's somewhat loose or whatever. It's awkward when you have to make sharp turns, or you got to make wide turns, or whatever, and you gotta stay focused on on the gas a little bit, or you gotta brake a little bit. That being up hills and being downhill, knowing what's in your car, adjust your seat, adjust your mirrors, that kind of thing. It's kind of like that, just having to figure out how to socialize with people with Asperger's. You got Asperger syndrome, and try to have small talks, chit chat with people, and get comfortable, and for me, it was a lot of work. I mean, it still is a lot of work to have to go up to somebody and socialize with people, staying calm, and show them that I'm engaged and that I'm interested to converse, or to congregate, or to mingle, to chit chat, small talk or something, or make conversations, and it is somewhat awkward for me, I just got to be in the driver's seat, if I want to initiate a conversation, or if I want to make conversation. But for me, it's always been about social. It's always been about me, well, for the most part, to improve my social skills, and I still got to be able to understand what people are talking about, or to comprehend or to process what people are saying. That's why it's like people would just come up to me and just say, hey Mackie, how you doing? I said, no problem. Like, because I wasn't calm, I wasn't ready, I wasn't prepared, I was empty-minded. But you gotta be able to tell yourself that you just, anything can happen. Somebody, it's because you don't go out to people, and you have small talks with them, doesn't mean that they're not going to do it. They're not going to go up to you and have these small talks. Just like the other day, I was at a supermarket, I was at a supermarket, by myself. Nobody else was with me. I was shopping around, buying some things, and I was in the checkout. And the guy in the register, was just talking to me about this upcoming boxing fight. Not too familiar with not too familiar with boxing. I'm not really that much of a fan of boxing. My favorite sports is football and basketball and football in the UK, which is FIFA, which is soccer. So, this guy was talking to me about the fight, and I was like, yeah, I'm not that much of a fan of boxing. I don't really like to watch it that much. I'm more of a football, basketball type guy. So I'm more interested in that. And he's like, oh, okay. I thought you were familiar with it. You look like the boxing type. And I said, you know what? I mean, boxing's not that bad, but I'm familiar with the upcoming fight with Floyd Mayweather and some other guy. But I already know Floyd's gonna win, because he's got an impeccable boxing record. He's never been defeated. But who knows? Because of his age, he might wind up serving his first loss. It's just me engaging in a conversation with somebody that I don't even know, that I'm not familiar with, but I was calm. I was relaxed. It's like, okay, it's no big deal to engage in a conversation, whatever. It's just you got to be prepared for it. And it doesn't matter what anybody else say. But as long as you're saying you're saying stuff that makes sense, you're okay. And as long as you're calm and as long as you're relaxed, you're not panicking. You're not overthinking it. You're going to be okay. And trust me, it's going to work. As a child, I was diagnosed with extreme Asperger's. It was extreme. It was extremely difficult for me to socialize. But until 5th grade, it was super hard. And ever since 5th grade, I started to improve even more. I started finding my way of approaching people in society. And don't get me wrong, I am not that guy. I'm not really that guy that likes to socialize all like that, but if I have to, it's like I said, just be cool, calm, collected, and be prepared for a conversation. Just say pretty much what's on your mind. It's just like, just think of what to say. And especially if this person wants to initiate a conversation, he's talking about sports, I want to say something that's relevant to sports, like, okay, football, boxing or basketball, whatever, and at the end of the day, it's not so bad. So that's all I got for this video. I hope this video is interesting, because I just noticed that this video is pretty long. And if you guys like this video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up. If you got any comments, suggestions, anything to say, you feel like you need to post in the comments or whatever, comments are welcome. You can even say negative things. Say something that's considered offensive. I could be offended, but it's a free country. You can say whatever you want to say. So if you want, subscribe to this channel. You don't have to. I'm very fortunate with the 12 people who took the time to hit that subscribe button. But much is appreciated if you feel the need to, if you feel like you want to subscribe to my channel for more videos. I upload videos not as frequent. I just try to upload as much videos per week as I can. So that's my goal. And I hope after this video that you come to understand that all that has happened to me and how I was able to improve myself mentally, physically, and emotionally, and mostly in the speech component. It's hard at first. It really is. It really is. It was extremely hard at first. Even today, it's still hard, but not as hard as it was before. I have my days where I just don't feel like being around people, but I still got to do it. But I got to be calm and I got to be relaxed, and just get over myself and just go through it. And I hope everyone's having a good day, positive attitudes, just smiles all over the world, good news, everything that will make you happy. I'll see you in the next one.